So let's begin today's session. Today we are going to be looking at these vocabulary words, and all these vocabulary words, they are associated or related to the lost wallet. So first we have the word wallet. We have the word wallet. 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 What is a wallet? If you guys know what a wallet is, you can go ahead, type in the comment section, wallet. So this is the word wallet right here. If you know what it is, you can go ahead, type in the comment section, what is a wallet? So let's read to find out what is a wallet. Let's read to find out what is a wallet. A wallet is a small case for carrying money and cards. Wallet, it is a small case for carrying money and cards. So your bank cards, such as ATM cards, your business cards, you may have important cards from other companies that you have. For example, discount cards. Those cards, you can put them in your wallet. So your wallet would have different sections. A lot of wallets would have like a space where you can put a picture of somebody who is very dear to you, along with other sections for cards and also for your coins and for your notes or your bill. Some of us call it bills, some of us call it notes, as in your paper money. Honest. What does the word honest mean? And I know a lot of us today, we struggle with this word honest. Honest, when you're honest, you're always telling the truth and doing the right thing. So someone who is honest is always truthful. Whatever they say, it is fact. It is fact. So they are being real or genuine. Reward. Reward. What is a reward? A reward is something given to thank someone for helping. So you may have had situations before, maybe in your school setting, maybe in your work setting where you were rewarded, and you would have been rewarded for something that you would have done. For example, you produce excellent grades, or you have done something to help others. That way, you would have been given a gift or a token. Those are your rewards. Sometimes you're given a certificate. That is your reward. So you can be rewarded using different things. There's no set way of rewarding someone. Our next word is nearby. Nearby. When you say something is nearby, it means that it is not far away. Not far away. So it is very close. So for example, if I say the gas station is nearby, it means that it is very close to my home. So when we say close, we'll say at least like a 5-minute drive or even less. That's what we'll call nearby or close. I think different places, so it may depend on your demographics, that people, not demographics, your geographic location, that people may use it like at a different level. So for example, in my region, it may be like 5 minutes away, but then in your region, because you may live in a bigger place, you may say that something that is like 20 minutes away, you may say it's nearby, right? So I think that would depend on your geographic location and also like your space, the volume of the place in which you live. Our next word is proud. Proud. And proud is an everyday word. What does it mean? It means happy because you did something good. So when somebody is proud, they're very happy because they did something that was good. Or proud could have other meanings. It could be like you're puffed up, as in you think highly of yourself, right? It could also mean that. All right, guys. So now that we have completed our vocabulary words, wallet, which means a small case for carrying money and cards, honest, always telling the truth and doing the right thing, reward, something given to thank someone for helping, nearby, not far away, proud, happy because you did something good, or you are very puffed up, always thinking about yourself and you exalt yourself basically. You put yourself at a high standard. Now that we're done discussing this vocabulary, let's move on. And I hope that because we would have discussed the vocabulary words, you're able to make meaning of them while we're reading. Because in reading, we would want you to really understand what you're reading, to comprehend what you're reading. And in order for you to understand or comprehend what you're reading, you must be familiar with the vocabulary words, as in knowing their meaning so that you can use them carefully when you are thinking about the different parts of the story. So let's go ahead and read. Tom was walking home from work on a warm Friday afternoon. He was tired, but he was happy because the weekend was coming. As he walked through the park, he noticed something on a bench. It was a brown wallet. All right, so what we did first, we took it very slow so that those of you who are not familiar with some of the words, you got the pronunciation for those words. All right, now we are going to take it a bit faster so we can understand it. So in reading, in order for you to understand what you're reading, it's good to read multiple times. First, you read it to make sure that you are pronouncing the words carefully, or to be able to get the words fluently. And then after that, you can practice how to read it fluently. Then, thirdly, when you read it again, you read to understand. So that's one way you can build yourself as a reader, right? Because remember, vocabulary and comprehension, they are important. And vocabulary aids your comprehension, as in it helps your comprehension. So let's now go ahead and read it at a faster pace. Tom was walking home from work on a warm Friday afternoon. He was tired, but he was happy because the weekend was coming. As he walked through the park, he noticed something on a bench. It was a brown wallet. All right. So what did we discover here? First, we discover the character. Who is the character in the story? Go ahead and type the character in the comment section. So the character in the story is Tom. Tom. We also discovered the setting. What's the setting in the story? So The setting is that Tom was outside, and it also gives us a lot of details on the setting. So it gives us the detail that it was warm, right? Which means it was a day that was okay for walking, right? It also tells us the day. So it gives us a time. It was a Friday afternoon, right? So we got the day and we got the time, Friday afternoon. All right. So all that has to do with your setting. We also got actions, or we also got events that was happening. So he was walking home from work. That's one of the events that we gathered in the story. We also heard about his feeling. How was he feeling? We heard that he was tired, but he was happy. So here we have a feeling that um, more or less has two sides. So he was tired, yet he was happy, right? So one was on a negative note and one was on a positive note. And we also got the explanation why. Why was he happy? So the word because, anytime you hear the word because being used, that speaks to why. He was happy because the weekend was coming. So let me see, guys, in the comment section. Those of you who love the weekend, you really enjoy the weekend. Ah, nice. So a lot of us, we look forward to the weekend for resting. We look forward for the weekend for um, maybe entertainment, um, for self care, for resetting, all these things. And because of that, it would make us happy. So even if we're tired, it will make us happy because at this point, we know that we would be able to get over that tiredness because we have the opportunity to rest because we do not have work, right? So this was Tom's mood. As he walked through the park, he noticed something on a beach, on a bench, sorry, on the bench. So we can see the word ben here, then we see bench. It was a brown wallet. So now we start getting um, that onset of the story. So that thing that starts the story, that event that um, would allow other things to happen in the story. So Tom's setting here, he was at the park. So he wasn't just walking home. So this is added information for the setting. So here you see there are information that is split. It didn't give us that in the beginning to say he was walking through the park from work, right? So here, this is added information. So in a case where you were asked about the setting, you would definitely have to search because it's in more than one area. So here we also see that something happened. And whatever happened here is what is going to allow the story to propel, right? So the thing that happened that would allow the story to continue is that he noticed something on a bench. He noticed something on a bench. And what was that thing on the bench? It was a brown wallet. So here now we can start thinking, what do you think would happen next in the story? So let's activate our thinking. What do you think would happen next? What's the next event to take place in the story? Because he saw something, it was a brown wallet. So here now we're going to think, is this the right place for a brown wallet? And we're going to think now, why is this important? That he saw something on a bench and it was a brown wallet. The story could have simply said that he saw a brown wallet, but rather the story said he saw something on a bench. Is a bench the place for a wallet? Think about it. Is a bench a place for a wallet? And then think again. Why would it most likely, be on a bench and not on the ground or on a tree in the park? Why would the wallet be? Why would the wallet most likely be on a bench in the park and not on the ground or on the trees? Think about it. So if you thought of it, it will most likely be on a bench because someone was sitting there and left it there. Because where is the place for a wallet when it is outside of the house? Where is the place for a wallet when it is outside of the house? The usual place for a wallet when it's outside of the house would be in your pocket. For some persons, it might be in their purse or bag, right? So this was not a usual place for the wallet. This was not a usual place for the wallet. But it most likely got there through someone. So all this now would store up your thinking to think of what would most likely happen next in the story, right? And what might be the outcome of the story. So when you're thinking of a story, always think about the different causes of things that happen in the story. Think also about the likelihood of the events, right? Think of reasons why they happened. And this would help you to understand the story better. Okay, guys. So let's continue to read. Tom picked it up and looked around. There was no one nearby. He opened the wallet carefully. Sorry, guys. I don't know why this keeps slipping. Inside, he saw some money, a driver's license, and a few bank cards. Tom thought for a moment. Okay, remember we said at first we're going to read to get the words, as in to be able to be fluent with it, okay? So that's what we do at first. And then we're going to read it quickly so that we are able to better understand. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So at this point, we're going to read at a faster pace. Tom picked it up and looked around. There was no one nearby. He opened the wallet carefully Inside, he saw some money, a driver's license, and a few bank cards. Tom thought for a moment. All right, so if you remember what the word nearby means, what does the word nearby means? Very close. Okay, so it's very close to you. So Tom picked up the wallet and he looked around. Do you think it was safe for him to pick up the wallet? Do you think it was safe for him to pick up the wallet? Is that something you would have done as a person? If you see something that you know it is in an unusual place, would you just pick it up like that? Well, here it says there was no one nearby. We could use this clue to mean that Tom was there in that space where he was next to the bench. He was there alone because there was no one that was surrounding him, right? In close proximity to him. And maybe that's the reason why he thought of picking it up, right? While there are some persons who they would have just walked past it or leave it right there. Can't be bothered since it's not theirs, you know. So sometimes we meet people with different um, beliefs or people with different values, people who would do things differently. They think it's a safe thing to do. He didn't just pick it up, but he opened the wallet. He didn't just pick it up, but he opened it. If you were the one picking up the wallet, would you have opened it? Would you have opened the wallet? Inside, he saw some money, he saw a driver's license, and a few bank cards. So, of course, there was money in it. The person's driver's license was in it too. Their bank cards, think of this. These were a lot of personal items. So, bank cards, they are personal items. Driver's license, they are personal items that we need every day. And these items, they are normally very difficult to retrieve or to get back if you lose them. So if you lose these items, you get a hard time, maybe with the bank or maybe with financial institutions or even with these license authorities. Sometimes you face a difficult time with getting back these things because you have to go back through so many paperwork. You have to get so many things done, and also they are not just free. You actually have to pay for them. So because you have to pay for them, at most institutions you have to pay for them. It becomes a difficult process for you to. So Tom thought for a moment. Of course, he have to think about what he's doing. He can just allow it to go like that because these are very important things within the wallet. Not even the money might be so important because it didn't tell us how much money it is. But that might not be so important to the person as the driver's license and the bank cards are to them. You know, because that person may have left this place thinking about going shopping or going to the bank or going to the ATM, you know, that kind of stuff. And then they realize that they do not have their wallet with their cards. And this alone could put that person into a state of worry or anxiety. So it's not that simple and easy. So of course he must think for a moment. What do you think he's thinking about? What do you think he's thinking about when he noticed that he has these important things for someone who would have lost them? What do you think his thoughts are about? So I would think that he's thinking about how to who they belong to, how to get them back to that person, that kind of stuff. I think he's thinking. Yeah. All right. So nice. So guys, you can go ahead in the comments and you can share your ideas. Okay. Don't be afraid to share your ideas. If you're there, share your ideas. Your ideas are important. All right. So let's now move on to the next slide. I could leave it here. And remember, guys, we're reading slow at first and then we're reading very quickly so that you can understand what we're reading. He said to himself, but what if the owner never comes back? He looked at the driver's license. We should say the owner. The owner's name was Mr. David Green, and his address was only a few streets away. You see what I told you? These things are filled with very personal information. Because here it is, he's able to find the person's name and also their address. So, what are you thinking now? Look, in the beginning, Tom thought about leaving it there, leaving the wallet there. And remember earlier I said that some persons, depending on their upbringing or their values and stuff like that, some of them, they would have left it right there. Wash it and leave it right there. They wouldn't take it up at all, much less to even open it. Some persons, they may take it up and don't even open it. They may like take it up, take it to like their nearest police station, that kind of thing. Yeah. While there are others who would take it up and take all of what is in it and then throw it back right there. Or they may just take the money and throw back the other things there. Yeah. So it depends on the person. And you see, he was very thoughtful because after he thought about leaving it there, he thought, but what if the owner never comes back? And you know, the owner is the person who actually owns, or the person whom this thing belongs to. Right? So he's thinking about if that person does not return, never comes back there. And of course, he looked at the driver's license, and that's what was able to show his name and his address. Now that we have learned that his address, the person's address, Mr. David Green address, was only a few streets away, what do you think Tom is going to do? His address is only a few streets away, because remember now that he knows his address and it's only a few streets away. What do you think he will do? Get active, guys. Comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think he would do. In the meantime, let's reread fluently. I could leave it here, he said to himself, but what if the owner never comes back? He looked at the driver's license. The owner's name was Mr. David Green, and his address was only a few streets away. All right, what do you think he's going to do now that he has some knowledge that could really help him? Let's see. Tom decided to walk to the house. When he knocked on the door, an older man, sorry guys, opened it. "Excuse me," Tom said with a smile. "Did you lose your wallet?" The man, sorry, the man's eyes became wide. All right. So there, we just read it. And now we are going to read it again to be fluent with it. Okay, remember first we read to get the words. You can also scan to get the words, but because we are doing reading practice also, to be fluent, I would do the slow version, and then after we do the quick version. So let's read it quickly to understand. Tom decided to walk to the house. When he knocked on the door, an older man opened it. "Excuse me," Tom said with a smile. "Did you lose your wallet?" The man's eyes became wide. All right, so here we see Tom. He has done something that many persons would not do. Right? So he decided that he was going to go to the person's house. Is it really safe to go to someone's house without um, giving them the heads up or giving them the notice that you'll be coming to their house? Is it really safe to do that? Especially in these times that we're living in. Guys, comment, be active in the comment section. Is that something you would do if you find somebody's wallet and you notice that their address is not too far from where you're living? Or would you try different avenues in terms of, would you instead take it to the authorities, maybe to the police, or maybe to, depending on where you're living, like they may have other persons that you can take it to, whether to a preacher, whether to uh, the somebody that is like a community leader that you can take it to instead. Would you take that instead of going to the person's house directly? Or for some persons, they may search your name up like in the directory, in the phone book. And once they're able to come up with your phone number, they may contact you rather than showing up at your house. And he was brave enough to knock on the door. When he knocked, an older man opened it. So now we have another character being introduced into the story. And this character is an older man. Right? So if it says that this character is an older man, then we know Tom was younger, right? Tom was still working, which means he had to be somewhat, younger. Yeah. And Tom was brave because when the man opened the door, he said, "Excuse me." And he was smiling. And he was saying, "Do you lose your wallet?" He was brave. The fact that he wore a smile and that he was able to say, ask him if he lost his wallet. That is brave, guys. And you see the last part here, the man's eyes became wide. Think of him widening his eyes. What is that? What does that expression mean? So that's a gesture, but gestures, they do have meanings. In your culture, when somebody widens their eyes, what does that mean? Different cultures, it could have different meaning. So I'm just asking based on your culture. When somebody widens their eyes, like they open their eyes wide, broad, what does that mean? A lot of the times it means like they are in shock, right? Well, for my culture, when you open your eye wide, that means like you are in shock or you're astonished, right? Or you're surprised. All those words can mean the same thing. Surprised, astonished, shocked. Right. So you're enhancing your vocabulary by learning that surprise, astonished, and shock. They all mean the same thing. They can be used interchangeably. So yes, he was in shock because that's what we do when we are in shock or we are surprised or astonished. Good. So guys, if this had happened to you, you lost your wallet and somebody came to your house and they asked if you lost your wallet, would you have been in shock? Think about it. Have you went through any situations like this before? And what feeling did it produce? So let's get active and start free talking. It's always good to free talk. Hey guys, so let me see what you guys are saying in the comments so I can respond to what you're saying. So it's our turn to free talk. Let's free talk. Let's free talk. Let's free talk, guys. It's time to free talk. And guys, remember, when you're reading what you reading understanding what you're reading is very important. So it's important to put a lot of emphasis into the words that are there. It's important to put a lot of emphasis into the expressions or gestures that comes out in the story, because this would help you to better understand the culture of the story. It will help you to better understand the themes that are in the story, right? Because here we can see some really, really cool themes coming out of this story. Yeah, we can see somebody actually caring, having a heart, somebody being kind. Tom, he was kind. And he was very thoughtful, the fact that he thought about things and all that. So we can see these themes coming out. And they are very healthy themes. Okay, guys, so let's free talk. And I would have to stop sharing